Hello, friends. Welcome back to our global community of excellence, where we accelerate your dreams into reality. In our last episode, we talked about shining where you sit and sitting where you shine. And now we want to move on and make sure we enrich your dreams. We help you to achieve them. So Kariuki Josephat is my name. PhD organizational leadership, and I'm happy to do what we do best here. So we promised you that today we would look at positioning yourself for business success, and that is exactly what we want to honor today. So to share my experience, success sometimes will come when you are not even ready. If you position yourself the right way. People say that it's better that an opportunity comes and find you ready than when the opportunity comes and you're not ready for it. Now, when I started business, my very first time, I was just around 30 years of age, and I was so scared to death to talk to people. Yet, the greatest business that you can ever do is that which you are dealing with people, adding value to others. The number of people that you change lives for will determine how far you go yourself. So today I want to share with us a couple of things that you can do, and if you follow this, I can guarantee you success is not optional, it's a must. Now the very first one is starve your fears to death. Starve your fears to death. Did you know many people fear things that will never even happen? I love the story of a young girl who was studying along a highway, and she was hilariously crying. And one elderly man asked her, "Young girl, why are you crying?" And the response was shocking. She said, I'm thinking of one day when I grow up, I'll be married. I'll get married. And God will bless me with a baby girl. And on this highway, we'll be crossing with my child when she starts walking, and she'll be knocked by these cars that are passing by. And it's so overwhelmingly sad for me that I will have lost my daughter. Now, what does that show us? That sometimes we take our minds very far from the reality of what will happen. That is how fear does. Fear takes you up and it leaves you to fall down and crash. So you must, starve your fears to death. One of my secrets to success has been being driven by what I want to achieve, than fear of failure. Being driven by what I want to achieve than being driven by fear of failure. Les Brown puts it very well. You'll either have to live your dreams or you live your fears. So what are you focusing on? And what you focus on, ladies and gentlemen, expands. So if you're focusing on your dreams, you will be able to achieve even greater dreams. If you start fearing, you focus on fearing, then you will forever fear. And in any case, you must start somewhere. Don't wait for a perfect time for you to start. Start where you are with what you have. Never wait to be ready. There's nothing like being ready. So that is the first one. Now, what is fear? In essence, Zig Ziglar defines fear as false evidence appearing real. So it's false, but it appears like it's real. So when you know that it is not real, then you'll be able to, move forward. And by the way, I never tell people not to fear. I tell you fear, but go ahead and you do what you need to do. Now, the other important thing to consider is this. Someone saying that when you are young, by the age of 20, you are always wondering, you don't even bother with what people think about you. I love that. By the age of 20, you don't bother with what others are thinking about you. Now, at the age of 40, people realize that they are so worried about what others are thinking about themselves. So between 20 and 40 is a phase where you are so concerned. What will people say about me? If I start a business and I fail, what will they be talking about? And that makes people never to start any businesses, fearing others. But at the age of 60, they realize that in essence, no one was ever thinking about themselves, No one was thinking about them. So you see how you can fail to focus on your dreams because of others, and they are busy, all of them, they are busy thinking about their own lives. So it's time that you focus on what you want to achieve. Starve your fears to death. Allow me to also mention something else that I find very, very helpful. Learn from others and develop yourself. Learn from others and develop yourself. You see, Isaac Newton once told us that if you think I have seen farther, it is because I stood on shoulders of giants. So you see, you might think that Isaac Newton was very tough, but he had to learn from others. You see, they've told us times and again that foolish people want to learn from their own mistakes, but wise people learn from other people's mistakes. So when you learn from others, you avoid making your own mistakes. So personally, I've learned from giants, and that is why I've been able to come this far. So make sure that you are learning from those who have done it before you. You are not the first one. Think of people like Martin Luther King. He is well known of having achieved a lot, having changed America in a mega way. Making sure that the demonstrations and protests that he ever did were peaceful. But then it will surprise you that Martin Luther King had to learn from Mahatma Gandhi, an Indian leader. He had to follow his footsteps and see how was he handling, protests so that they are not violent. So that's a big one there. And that is exactly what we do here in our global community of excellence. We teach you how to become a giant like some of us. So it's about copy-pasting. Success is easy, especially when you are well mentored. Now, the other example I would want to give of the need of you working on yourself, developing yourself, is of a man, actually a grandfather, who had not worked on himself. The grandchildren, smeared a stinking butter on his mustache. And the grandfather woke up, he was asleep, and wherever he went, he complained that everywhere it's stinking. The world is stinking. He concluded that this world is all stinking. Ladies and gentlemen, was the world stinking? He was the problem. And that's a big lesson, because sometimes we've walked around complaining that things are bad. You see, people have walked around complaining about others. People will blame the government. Others will blame their bosses, colleagues. They'll say that I would have achieved a lot, but my colleagues are so jealous. But you see, let's talk the reality. The problem is not out there. The problem is within yourself. Another man, went into a barrio, and the boss wanted to demonstrate that the person who was hindering them from being promoted was not anyone, because they were lamenting that colleagues are avoiding, pushing them down, not to be promoted. So there was a mirror where the cascade was. And so people were passing through that mirror, and they were told that the person you will see is the person who has been, stopping your promotion. He is dead. He's no more. So they were excited to go through the, via the cascade so that they can see this man who has terrorized like that. who has terrorized them like that, so that they are never promoted. And so whenever they went to see the person, whom did they see? Themselves on the mirror. And that was a big lesson there, that the person who was always prohibiting them from succeeding was no one else out there but themselves. Woe unto you if you live thinking that there is anyone out there who is hindering your growth, yet you are that person. So let's develop ourselves. Now, the last thing I want to suggest that we look at is, how do you equip yourself for turbulent times? For you to position yourself for business success, you need to equip yourself for turbulent times. The last thing I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is that you must equip yourself for turbulent times. You see, there is what we call false expectation. Many people think that when they start a business, it will just blossom. That is false expectation, which we must manage. Any successful business is a combination of ups and downs. And by the way, it's not about how many times you fall, it's about rising every time you fall. Think of great people like Abraham Lincoln, someone that we would really admire, a former president of US. How many times did he have to fail before he clinched the presidency? His story goes like this. At the age of 21, he failed in business. At the age of 22, he failed in a legislative race. At the age of 24, he failed again in business. At the age of 26, he lost his sweetheart. At the age of 27, he got a nervous breakdown. After that, he lost congressional race, then he lost senatorial race, until the age of 52, when he became the president of US. Are you willing to go through those kind of phases, failing and failing until you succeed? Turbulent times will come to test you, whether you qualify for success. Think of COVID-19. When it struck, it was a turbulent moment for many businesses. What we did for us, we were able to change things so swiftly. We took up the technology, we switched from physical meetings to virtual meetings through Zoom and other platforms, and we were able to double our business and spread to many other countries. The same thing that came to bring businesses down, we used it to fly our businesses up. Think of eagles. When there are storms, that is when they have the easiest time flying. They just spread their wings and the storms, work for them, not against them. But all the other small birds will, run to hide under the trees. Be an eagle, don't be a small bird. So it is very possible. And I love storms personally. My businesses grew when there were storms. Robin Sharma will tell you that greatest leaders are born during turbulent times. And for that reason, we will be in the next episode looking at how do you handle turbulent times, because it's not inevitable. It's inevitable to have a turbulent time. So how do we handle that? And as we wind up, I want to thank you so much for being part of this community. Remember to subscribe to our channel, to like our channel, and to share with friends so that we can be able to impact the world together. Next time, we'll be right here showing you how you handle turbulent times. Until then, bye-bye.